But the Bloodhound Town Takeover does have some code referencing using beacons, so maybe Bloodhound is going to have some kind of special ability.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I think the heirloom for Octane is going to be like one of the biggest hits, honestly, because people love him.
All right, guys, welcome to the SquadCast podcast, the Apex Legends podcast, episode number 10, the first of double digits. I can't believe we've made it this far. In this episode, we're going to be covering things like the Bloodhound Town Takeover, duos, things about season 4, the new Valentine's event, Octane's possible heirloom, and quite some stuff. So first off, we're going to go over Bloodhound Town Takeover loot. I think you have something to tell us about it.
Yeah, so in this most recent patch, which actually, if I think about it, I think it was actually the season 4 patch. There was code that I was able to find that showed that there would be a Bloodhound Town Takeover coming soon. However, it does not mean that it's coming for sure next. The way they've been doing the code, we've seen a lot of things kind of going out of order recently. And I think it's their effort of trying to really obfuscate what we can find and prevent us from leaking. And it's just like with the new EPAC system, they've made it so that we can't get skins from the store ahead of time. Instead, your computer will actually download the skin the day it comes out. So they are taking measures to try to prevent some data mining. And so that's why we don't have a ton of leaks. I usually leak a bunch of stuff, but there's just not as much to find right now. Hopefully that changes.
Is there any other town takeover? Because if there's only the Bloodhound in the files that you can find, at least, I mean, I would assume that would be the next one.
You can't guarantee it.
Yeah, but I don't want to do a guarantee. I would say
definitely not guaranteed.
Likely the Bloodhound Town Takeover. But I just want to give a heads up that things seem to be changing a little bit of how they add in dev code and things that they're removing. They're leaving stuff on accident. So it's a little bit different of a game. It's going to be changing up, but the Bloodhound Town Takeover does have some code referencing using beacons. So maybe Bloodhound is going to have some kind of special ability. There's going to be beacons in this town takeover.
Wow.
I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see ahead, but it's exciting. And no, I know this is going to be a question I get every time. Does that mean a certain person's heirloom? No idea. As we've seen in the past, the heirloom is completely random. It never is for the person for whatever reason. Like the Mirage one, we did not get a Mirage heirloom.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah, and one thing I saw a Twitter post. This has been months ago, and it's kind of weird how I don't even know who leaked it or what it was, but I made a video about the Mirage Town Takeover, I think a month and a half before it came out, and it was just off of some Twitter posts that I saw referencing what they had put together from the game files of all these town takeovers, and the one that they said that was like that had the most information was the Mirage one. So that's why I made a video on it. But then I remember right after the Mirage one was the Bloodhound Town Takeover that it talked about. And then there was another one, but I can't even remember it because it's been months ago. So if it does go in the order that post was, it did say that the Mirage would come next when it turned out to be right. And then Bloodhound was after that. But like you said, they could be trying to throw us off kind of like they did with Forge and kind of throw us off in the game files and just see if we can get it wrong. And so that's another thing I was wondering, if we think that they're doing that, if we think that maybe they're trying to combat data mining maybe a little bit, do you think that the Twitter, the thing they posted on Twitter, how the event wasn't showing up for people and they had to postpone it a day later, do you think that was I mean, surely they wouldn't do that on purpose, but how the game file actually said that it would be coming out Wednesday on the 12th, but they had planned for it to be on Tuesday. Do you think that was just an accident, or what do you think happened there?
Well, you know what's funny is I do remember someone commenting on the SquadCast last episode, and they said, "Oh, the Valentine's Day event is going to be on Tuesday. You guys lost all credibility." And then they said, "Unsub." Well, hey, what's interesting is I wonder if that guy did unsub because it did end up being on Wednesday, like the code I shared. And I think what happened is they most likely put the game file out, and they didn't realize they accidentally put the wrong date. And so when the data miners came in, when we found that date, it was the correct date. It's actually what the game's looking for. It is looking for that date to activate the mode. And they did it on accident. So we were reporting correctly what we saw, and Respawn was the one who made the mistake.
That's actually hilarious. Back to the Bloodhound takeover. Before we move on to anything else, you mentioned beacons, which got me thinking. Like, what if this is just a concept? What I was thinking. What if those beacons are like a radius, like a AOE, where if you're in that area or if you're in the town takeover, you actually like see through walls, just like Bloodhound. That seems a bit like crazy, but I mean,
would be awesome.
That'd be
that would be cool. Yeah,
you just drop into this area
like
and
an oracle.
See everyone through the walls. That would be amazing.
Even
that
if
would make for some interesting.
Even if it's super small AOE, like you don't need a huge AOE like for Pathfinder's beacon where it shows that the next ring is going to be. Obviously, it wouldn't be the size of a ring that you're going to be able to see people like
but like maybe just like that. Area in the town takeover.
Small.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering too. Like, like obviously we saw Pathfinder, like for his heirloom, they implemented some boxing gloves, which I didn't even know was a part of Pathfinder's lore, to be honest. But then they had the Octane town takeover. They had the jump pads everywhere and things like that. The Mirage town takeover, they had the party boat, because we know Mirage was a partier. So
and with like, Wraith, they had the portal as well.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about Wraith. Yeah, they had the portal. They had the portal theme kind of thing. I was wondering, with the Bloodhound town takeover, what could they even implement as part of that? So that would make sense. The beacons as far as the like that kind of radius, that would be really cool and would make a lot of sense though.
Yeah, and there is some stuff that was discovered like quite a while back that referenced Bloodhound having to do with like a PvP mode where he was interacting with, if I remember correctly, it was like animals or characters, like creatures. And I can't remember exactly what it was. I just remember it vaguely, but perhaps we'll see some kind of AI involved in this. It's of course extreme speculation. The code that we do have says to press to begin challenge, and so there's going to be different challenges that are in the town takeover, and it looks like at least 2 or 3 challenges. So I don't know, there's like only so much. Oh yeah, actually the party boat, because let's see if it was.
Yeah, the press a button to start the party.
Yeah,
it kind of be party. Like that? Yeah.
It didn't call it a challenge though. I'm looking at the code right now actually, but it was the exact same setup where it was party and then the hint, just like this code is panel and then hint. It looked the exact same. So I don't know. I'm excited. I love the town takeovers. It really helps change up the map, and then it also will get lore. So we'll get some lore on Bloodhound, which is always awesome to get some background, especially you think about the Wraith one where we got that short animation. We didn't get so much on Mirage, but we got the phone call, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I love the lore for Apex. It tells such a big story, and it makes you love the characters more that you choose to play. Everyone has their main, and so when you get that backstory, where they come from, why they're in the Apex games, it really makes you enjoy playing as them, because you feel like you're representing their story.
Yeah, you're invested in that legend.
You know what? Another thing I forgot is I was talking to T1MG, and there was actually some code that he found, and we were discussing it before it was posted publicly. And it's some code about ravens, and they added a new animation for his ravens. And so maybe that is something. Maybe he's going to be able to control his ravens, or we're going to see ravens in this town takeover. But of course, that's a big part of him. He has the robot raven also was just added to the battle pass. Maybe that's a hint at something to come. So they leave clues. We have breadcrumbs. That's all we can really work off of. But we just all have to try
better
to
than nothing.
It's all to keep us hyped. We're just trying to remain hyped for the game and keep everyone loving the game and playing.
Yeah, I think Bloodhound's town takeover, and you mentioning the robotic raven. Again, we all know that Pathfinder hates the raven. I wonder if that has anything to do with, because he's a robot. I'm not the raven, that is.
That seems like a pretty cool connection. I always found it funny how Path hates the raven.
Other robots.
Well, we know the raven wasn't Bloodhound's brother or something. I know every time we make a guess at something, we're gonna get hateful comments. We don't.
Nobody here is a
lore people.
It's his dad.
But it's definitely I think it's his dead brother, or we shouldn't even be saying his, to be honest, because it's non-binary.
Yeah, who even knows what
their brother
is?
Their brother.
Bloodhound is a mystery.
Yeah, our apologies for that.
Yeah.
But okay, so moving on, we have. I wanted to talk a little bit about. We all know that the Valentine's event is going on right now. It actually started today because it was delayed, and we actually accidentally ended up predicting it correctly when we saw it in the code. But we have the Halloween event was mentioned. We thought we thought this up before we went into the podcast. That the Halloween event was much bigger. It seemed a lot more hyped than season 4's Valentine's event that we're going through right now.
I really, honestly, I feel like that is just mainly because I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the Halloween event was a collection event. This is not a collection event, right? I don't think, I know this isn't a collection event, but was the Halloween one a collection event? Like, did we get an heirloom with that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we did.
That's when.
Yeah, it was the
I think we got an
Pathfinder.
heirloom.
Yeah,
That's
the
the Pathfinder one. Yeah.
That's right. Well, the other thing, you know, what's interesting about some of the code that I found was that there was a bunch
Wait, no,
of
Pathfinder
Valentine's
was
Day.
with
No,
Christmas.
Pathfinder was Christmas.
Yeah.
Lifeline was the Halloween.
Lifeline Halloween. Yeah, that's right. Lifeline was Halloween. So what's interesting is that I found a bunch of Valentine's Day quips, but I haven't seen them added. Have you guys?
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, we saw the Revenant one but before season 4 come out, we saw like some Revenant quips and stuff, but I haven't.
Quips.
Yeah, the Valentine's.
I have not heard anything.
I haven't seen them.
Don't even think that they're in the file, so it's not even possible to play them. So what I think could be possible, and this is a big speculation here, is that on Friday, right? Friday is the actual Valentine's Day. We may see something happen, something added. The quips could be added. I have no idea how it's going to be applied, but it's kind of weird that they added so many Valentine's Day quips into the file as text so I can read them, and they even added the words of the quip so you can read out, you know, what they're actually saying. And it's kind of it's just strange. It doesn't make sense. So you never know, man. They
think they've got something up their sleeve.
They always keep. Yeah, they do always keep us guessing, seriously. So to talk, the reason I think that you know, besides the fact that Halloween was a collection event and season 4 Valentine's event is not a collection event, that's why the hype is way different. But I also think it's because, you know, for the Valentine's game mode is duos. We've all been playing duos. Duos has been a blast. Sethley and I have been getting some dubs, but I think it's because duos is not really like, it's a good game mode. Don't get me wrong. I love duos, but when we got the Shadowfall zombie mode and it was on King's Canyon, I think that hyped it up even more. I think that's why
it felt
the Halloween event.
It felt more like an event rather than like the duos. Just feels like, hey, we got a game mode that we know, that we've played, that we love, and it's like a regular game. It's not anything like it's not anything that's like unique, like a crazy event that goes completely against what the normal Apex games is all about, like just a battle royale. So I think that's why possibly, you know, the Shadowfall brought a lot more hype because it was basically like a Call of Duty infected mode, basically. So it was something new, spontaneous that we've never seen before in Apex. As with duos, it's just a generic game, just with one player taken out from the squad.
I've really been enjoying duos though, like even if it's nothing new, like nothing special, I absolutely love duos, which is also pretty interesting. I did a poll on Twitter. Let me go ahead and pull it up real quick. I did a poll on Twitter earlier today, right when duos was released. I said, I'm curious, what would you guys prefer? And it was permanent duos or permanent solos. And after 4 hours, it has gotten 700 votes, and it's 58.2% duos and 41.8% solos. So I was actually really surprised by that.
Surprised, yeah. I'm surprised too, yeah.
Personally, I would prefer duos. I don't know if everybody agrees with that. I'm sure they don't, because as Seth's poll shows, it's almost split down the middle, but it does favor duos.
Yeah, which also duos, right? I think I said this earlier. I don't know if Caleb said it or Quantum FD or Miles. We were talking about earlier before we started the podcast. Duos has come back multiple times so far, right? Solos has only been in the game once. Duos has been in now with this time 3 times if you also include the golden duos. Gold Rush duos. Yes, thank you. So, I mean, that is pretty interesting. It's kind of another speculation. Like, are they really kind of favoring duos? They found that duos is working better than solos did in the past, and that's why they're bringing it back. So maybe that's like a kind of a hint towards the potential of us getting duos permanently in the future. which I don't honestly, we've talked a lot about like the queues getting slowed down and all of that, but with duos, I feel like that would be pretty solid. I honestly hope it wouldn't affect anything, and I think that'd be probably the best mode if they were to do one to bring it permanently.
I think duos is such a good game mode because Apex is notorious. Well, I mean, any battle royale is notorious for one big problem that they all share, and that's third parties and fourth parties and fifth parties. But Apex is a lot more complicated than that, just to say, oh, I was fighting a team and then another team come up behind me. The reason that I feel like there's so many third parties is because all of these legends have escape routes, and so when you knock two, more than likely there's a Pathfinder or a Wraith who has an escape that basically just buys time and just stalls their own death for their team. And like, instead of just getting a fair fight where one's weak and then like they eliminate one team, they heal up, get ready for the next team, like that amount of time that Pathfinder is grappling away and wasting time trying to get away, whatever, by the time that they eventually track him down, get him, eliminated, that's when all of the third and fourth parties have come in. If it was just as simple as, Pathfinder his teammates go down and he can't really escape like that, and they could just go ahead and eliminate him, third parties wouldn't be nearly as bad. But that third person who just kind of like it, once you get rid of those two people, that third person who just kind of runs away, and they just buy time for other teams that hear the gunshots to come in and claps down on everyone, and it just becomes really even more RNG because even the most pro team out there, it's really hard for them to defend a fifth party, a sixth party, and when everyone's just crashing down on them, because there's just not really much you can do. So I think that with there only being two people on a team, it's a lot easier to go ahead and get those fights over quicker, so that by the time that the third party hears the gunshots, you've most likely already eliminated the team and healed up and you're ready to go. And third parties just aren't as bad with that extra player taken out.
Something else I really wanted to talk about was the fact that like a lot of people I've been seeing on Twitter, and I'm sure you guys have seen this on the timeline as well, is season 4 has been pretty great. A lot of people can't really complain about it, but there's been a lot of problems with like the servers, especially I've noticed a lot, and a lot of people getting kicked, or their game crashes, or the server crashes, and they still lose RP in ranked, and they even get like timeouts and stuff. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I saw Cujo the other day post on Twitter that he got banned for he got code wheel, code net, and then he got banned for like 45 minutes. Yeah, like he continuously was getting code wheel, code net, or something like that, like over and over and over, and then it banned him for 45 minutes from playing, and he was not getting lost forgiveness, anything like that, and he was ranting on Twitter about it. It's really sad, and to think all of this really came from people who decided to abuse the whole dashboarding thing. And so that, that it's really a sad situation of what's going on. I don't know how they're going to fix it, but honestly, as much as it bothers me to have people abuse the system and get ranks, I would rather Respawn work and keep them from getting their rewards at the end of the season, rather than trying to implement a system that's hurting the people who are being genuine.
But do you think it's that system that's hurting, like making people crash, and it's making people like lose RP when they shouldn't? Do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's caused by that?
It could be.
But... Well, I mean, like they stated out that you would get you would basically, you're going to lose RP no matter what reason. I think you get like once a day, right? I think you get one forgiveness a day, but it's only, in my experience, it's only been for the person who disconnects. For instance, I was playing ranked the other day and one of my friends crashed. I think it was Sam, actually. Sam crashed and we didn't get lost forgiveness at all. And we were in a 2v3 the entire game. And so that's one thing that's really annoying.
That sucks.
Something you can't control that. You can't affect that. And here we are being punished for things that we can't control. And then say that it's not just on that person's end. What if if the servers go down multiple times a day, someone's trying to play, the server's continuously going down, and they're not getting any help whatsoever. They're just getting kicked out the game, and they're getting no they're not getting loss forgiveness whatsoever, and then eventually not only losing RP, but eventually getting banned from the game, not being able to play. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's something they need to fix, and they've got to find a solution for it.
And the reason that they did implement that now is, like you're saying, it's because of people dashboarding. It's because of people alt-4ing. They had to tighten that code to not have forgiveness, because the forgiveness code is what they were abusing. As long as there's a forgiveness system, you can manipulate it to give you forgiveness, because you're making it think that, I just had a random crash. No, you alt F4'd. Well, then we can't have a forgiveness system, because someone's going to always exploit it,
abuse it. Yeah,
they'll always find a way.
So you were sending some things of the files, like the different connections, like code shoe, code rock, code truck, which reminded me about a recent leak. Is the potential, I'm gonna say potential, this is not confirmed whatsoever. Our friend That One Mining Guy actually found this. It's a potential Octane Heirloom. So I haven't really looked into the files much about it. What do you think about that, Luke? Because I've seen a lot of stuff in the files in the past about heirlooms. So I kind of, it's hard for me to really see that and then think it's going to come out next. But I don't know. This one seems pretty likely. Obviously, got to take that with a grain of salt. But what do you think about the Octane Heirloom, Luke?
Well, yeah. So the problem, and I actually told him this also, the problem is that they added files, mostly voice lines, for just about every character. Like before Revenant was even out, he already had a line for Revenant using ultimate, or not ultimate,
Heirloom.
What's it called? Heirloom, yeah, using heirloom to kill someone or something. Like he had all the stuff for an heirloom already. Not saying what the heirloom is. It did not say that. But so I was trying to be careful about that, because I had the same feeling as you. Like, okay, they're adding a bunch of stuff ahead of time with these heirlooms. They're very vague, but this code does say that it's a knife, which is a lot more detailed than what we're used to seeing. So I think it's likely that he is the next one to get an heirloom, and that it might be a knife. Although knife could be placeholder for, like all kinds of things. They could even consider his syringe a knife, and they may just call it a knife. Hopefully it I don't know, a knife seems like a weird thing to add.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's a bit weird for Octane.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and then on top, I had like someone comment on one of my videos. They're like, "Oh, so he's a drug addict who has a knife and he's blowing his legs off." Like, like this is a little kid's game, but yeah, you never know. So, like you said, take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Octane, and this is another thing we were talking about earlier. We had the Mirage Town Takeover, but got a Pathfinder Heirloom. So just because, hey, Octane doesn't seem to have obviously a Town Takeover, because we already had his in Kings Canyon, nor an Octane theme event, we could still be getting an Octane Heirloom for someone else's event, which really doesn't make sense to me. But it's just it's what Apex has already done before in the past. So maybe even with the Bloodhound Town Takeover, you never know. Like if Bloodhound Town Takeover is just around the corner, maybe they're going to decide to implement the Octane Heirloom at that time. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think it'll be really cool, because Octane, and no offense to you, Luke, but Octane and Mirage are the legends that I feel like they are not the best legends by far, not even close, but they are probably the two most enjoyable legends to watch in the trailers, because they have the biggest personalities. And like season 2 trailer, season 3 trailer, if it wasn't for Octane or if it wasn't for Mirage, those trailers would have been virtually nothing, because they brought so much hype, and just like their charisma was just so funny.
So basically what you're saying is Octane and Mirage are only good for the lore and the memes, but not for playing.
yeah, but no, I think the heirloom for Octane is going to be like one of the biggest hits, honestly, because people love him.
Surprisingly, honestly, I'm gonna say this straight up, I never play Octane, but I swear everybody loves him. I don't get it.
Everyone loves him, yeah, because he's.
And
I've
seen him in those high level tournaments that they used to broadcast on Kings Canyon in season 2. There was people. Okay, there was one person using an Octane.
I'm about to say one person.
That's in a big tournament though, and he's still using an Octane. You're not going to see anyone with a Mirage.
I think you never see anyone with a Mirage in a big tournament.
So I mean, he's definitely viable for if you're just a killer, and that's what you do. You're not gonna help your team. You're just a killer. You're like, I'm going out there and I'm gonna just murder people. So
yeah, he's a straight up assassin.
And then what's interesting too is that there. Okay, so I'm looking at it for the models, and it's actually a model that's already in the file, but we can't pull it out. So they also says Octane Heirloom glass. So maybe it's possible that it'll be a glass knife, which I don't know how that makes sense at all, but yeah.
I mean, CSGO is known for those knives, the expensive knives, and I don't think they've ever, I know for a fact actually, they don't have any sort of glass knife. So I mean, if Apex gets on that, hey, that's pretty original.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool.
The only thing that concerns me now that I'm looking back at the code, and I didn't bring this up when T1MG and I talked about this, is that where it references a knife, it's not referencing his heirloom at the exact same spot. So that's kind of strange. I don't think I noticed that the first time. So like with the stuff I just showed you guys right here, it says weapon and it says Octane Heirloom, glass, and it doesn't say anything about a knife in that exact spot. And then I'm looking at the code where it does say something about a knife, and that part does not have the heirloom attached to it. So guys, we may not be seeing a knife as his heirloom. I have to go and review this code a little bit more. I didn't really go into it too much when it first came out. So
I think, like you said the first time, I think the knife is just a placeholder for like a generic, a generic, heirloom in general. I think honestly, I just can't imagine it not being either a selfie stick or B like his stem or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking something sort of like stem related. But speaking of Octane and him being sort of like an assassin type, really aggressive player, we actually are moving on to the questions. So here's our question and shout out for the episode to Tech. It goes to Tech Savvy Gamer. What do you guys think Loba's class will be? Do you think her abilities that are based on leaks will change the meta? And before we get into that real quick, if you guys want next episode 11, if you guys want the next episode's shout out as well as your question answered, all you guys got to do is comment #question down in the comment section below.
Yeah, make sure to do that. We're definitely looking for a lot of questions. Maybe next time we could even do 2 or 3, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But with back to the question, thank you, Tech Savvy Gamer, again. So he asks Loba's class, which is kind of confusing for me. I mean, class isn't really used anywhere in Apex. Obviously, he could be meaning support, like you said, aggressive player, something
that's
like
what
that.
I think he's
that's
going
what
on.
that's what he's talking about.
So
as in like lifeline is support and you know, like a Wraith would be sort of like an assassin, like a really aggressive
what is
player.
her character? It does say what she
honestly,
Loba is obviously obviously we know Loba's leaked abilities that have been like kind of
leaked in the files time. It says she's a translocating thief is what like her title is.
But like if you take her abilities and you imagine them into a legend, what kind of legend, what kind of meta do you think she holds? Is she like an aggro player? Is she like a more revenant kind of player that's kind of like in between, who is not really super aggro but can be kind of defensive, I guess you'd say, against aggro players? What kind of legend would Loba be? And looking at her abilities, when you see her tactical with the disc that she can throw and teleport to the disc, obviously that sounds like an aggro kind of player. But then we have her other abilities that are based upon like finding loot, which are a little bit more passive abilities. They're not super up in your face like Wraith. All of Wraith's abilities, the portal, the tactical, it's all about escaping. It's all about being able to do these high level plays and stuff. As far as Loba though, I think she has one really like high level play with the disc thing, but then the loot, the translocating thief thing, I think it kind of balances it out. So honestly, I don't think she's an aggro player like Wraith. I think she's going to be more in the middle, like Revenant, have some abilities that are meant for being aggro, and then some also being meant for a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking basically we don't know 100% about her abilities, but based on the files, like he said in the question, I personally think her abilities. Sure. Yeah, obviously. I really do think that she's going to be really good early game. Personally, I think that's going to be like being able to, I mean, obviously besides the ultimate where you can like throw a disc and teleport to it, that's absolutely insane. You can pretty much use that in any situation. An ultimate,
but someone told me that it was
I think it's a tactical.
Yeah, because I have sound files that prove it's a tactical.
Wow, that changes everything for me. Wow, I was gonna say she's seems like a only early game type of person, but I'm definitely wrong on that one.
And I think we can't assume that everyone knows what her abilities are. So just to let you guys know, her tactical ability is to throw a disc and teleport to that location. Then her other abilities are to reveal the type of loot in an area through the walls. And then she has another one where she places a device that can steal all nearby loot. And then one called Eye for Quality. Loba can see nearby loot through walls. So, and then what else is there? Yeah, that's about it. So just so you guys know, just like with the Revenant, all of that can change. And I think also what he's asking is, so the classes that we have right now in Apex are offensive, defensive, support, and recon. And I think that she's probably going to be support just because of her ability to get loot. And so I think she fits into that category. And right now for support, I think the only one we have really is Lifeline.
Yeah.
So, and then
maybe Gibby. I don't think Gibby classes as.
No,
but at this point, he might be. Oh yeah, defensive makes that makes more sense
for sure.
But I mean, resin and healing faster know that, makes me like support.
Yeah, I just like saw this the other day. You guys know that Pathfinder's actually changed. Like when the game first came out, he had the plus sign next to his name, like Lifeline, as a support player.
Oh yeah, now he's
changed. Yeah, he's changed to recon. I just found that
makes
out.
Sense, with his ability to use the beacons and then move characters around.
Oh yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And then you said it was defensive, offensive,
recon,
and then recon. Okay, so with recon, I'm thinking that's
Bloodhound, Crypto.
Yeah, that's
Bloodhound, Crypto, and Pathfinder. Yeah,
but recon makes me also think that when like relating it to the army or something, you're on a recon mission, you're looking for stuff. That makes me think that Loba could maybe even be a recon type character.
Oh, that's true.
Because she's looking for all the loot. She has those abilities to be able to see when it's up close, see through walls, and see where loot is. So maybe she could be a recon type character or a support character. I know people in that comment that we got, people were saying that they hope there's another support character because right now we only have Lifeline as a support character. So I'd love to see another support, but it wouldn't surprise me if she plays sort of like a recon character.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see with Loba or Rosie, whatever you want to call her. But thank you again, Tech Savvy Gamer, for that question of the podcast. Don't forget, guys, make sure to comment down below your questions with the hashtag question, and you guys can be featured in the next podcast and get your question answered. But I think we're going to go ahead and end this podcast off here. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help us out a ton. As well as if you guys are new to the channel, you're new to the podcast, make sure to hit that sub button. I mean, even if you guys aren't new, if you guys haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any other podcasts. We got a lot coming for you guys. But thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Seth Lee, and we out.
Peace.
Hey, it's been your boy Quadum FT2. Peace.
Yeah, peace.